welcome to Community Forum, a community service of CAN TV. I'm Juan Carlos Hernandez. Today our guests are from Year Up, and they're here to talk about how this organization works to offer people a hand up to success. Welcome to both of you.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. We're going to start off by introducing you. Yvette Vargas, our first guest here today. Tell us about yourself and how you came to Year Up.
Well, I'm Chicago born and raised. I actually learned of Europe through CAN TV while I was home with my son for just having him. So yeah, I was fortunate enough to come across the program on the listings and called in, and so that was how I learned about Europe and came to them.
Great. And our second guest, Mr. Anderson, Alan Anderson, welcome. You are actually part of the staff. What is your role at Year Up? Tell us about yourself and your role and what Year Up is.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Alan Anderson. I'm the executive director of Year Up Chicago, so I oversee the Chicago site. The Chicago organization was started in September of 2010, and the national organization, we're a national nonprofit, started in the fall of 2000. And our goal more than anything else is to work with young adults between the ages of 18 and 24 who have a high school diploma or GED, who are currently either out of school or out of work looking for a meaningful path to either. And the program structure where you get 6 months of college credited technical and professional skills, and then a 6-month internship at an organization with the goal of kind of taking folks who might be on a path to poverty to professional careers 1 year later.
Okay, so you said this organization started up in the year 2000?
Yep, and nationally in Boston, yep.
In Boston, that was the first place.
Exactly.
And when expanding, when did it come here to Chicago?
It came in the fall of 2010. So 2010 in September, we opened our operation here in Chicago. So we've been up for about 4 years.
Okay, 4 years. And what is it that brought you to Year Up?
Yeah, I'm a person who has kind of two passions in my life. One is around entrepreneurial ventures. So the opportunity to start an operation, build it from scratch is something that's appealing to me. And that comes from having a professional background in engineering and innovation. I used to work at Motorola for about a decade, as well as the second half of me, which is a passion towards working for young adults or individuals who ultimately, I believe, deserve access to opportunities. So my most recent role prior to Year Up was working in the school system under then CEO Arnie Duncan and now Secretary Duncan on a variety of ed reform projects to help strengthen our schools. And when the opportunity presented itself to be the founding executive director of Year Up, I knew it was the perfect fit because it combined both the opportunity to be innovative as an entrepreneur while working with young adults who I truly believe deserve access to opportunity.
I'm curious though, that's quite a switch. Engineering, Motorola, and then now in an educational organization. What if it's not something too personal? What caused that change?
Yeah, you know, so what's interesting is while I worked at Motorola, I would actually say the thing that I just did or adjusted was figuring out how to do both things I care about in the same job. So outside of work every day when I worked at Motorola, you know, I was coaching basketball, I was mentoring, I was tutoring people. I was very involved in my community regardless of what I was doing in my kind of 40 hours a week at Motorola. So when the opportunity presented itself to kind of move from the private sector to the public and nonprofit sector, it seemed like a perfect opportunity because I could leverage the skills that I learned in the private sector around, you know, engineering and problem solving and critical thinking and even the business background that I've attained to match that with the passion I have towards working with, you know, urban young adults and urban youth who I believe deserve access to opportunity. So I was just able to combine my passion. I was just fortunate enough to find a pathway into doing that.
That's awesome. And we obviously have one of the examples of somebody that you're assisting here. Yvette, you said that you came to Year Up because you saw something about them on CAN TV. I'm curious, what did you see? The show, or did you see?
No, I seen what you announced. They have the listings and you call in, and so that happened to flash by Year Up, and so I called in, and it was in 2010 actually when I initially called in.
Wow.
And they reached back out to me. At that time I was, I had just became a mother, so I was at home.
How old were you at the time?
I was 21. I was 21 at the time, and so I had called in but never followed up with it. In 2013, they reached back out to me via email and they invited me to an orientation. And so I was like, I'm going to give it a chance because I was looking for a job at the time, and it was either get a job, which was an easy solution for me, or, you know, what really hard because I had been unemployed for 2.5 years already. And so,
What did you work in prior to coming to Europe?
well, I was actually just a stay-at-home mom, but
Which is a job in and
right,
of
it's
itself.
right, it's
Yeah,
a,
absolutely.
definitely never-ending job. But it was I was being pulled by two roads. I was either get a job or go to school, which I really wanted to finish my education. And I had being a mom, it's either you have to do one or the other, or put one on hold. And so when I came across Europe and I went to orientation, and I just fell in love with their community environment, and then being able not to have to put one on hold and be able to do both was exactly where I had to be. And I knew that, this program was for me. And so definitely after the first orientation, I just kept up with what you had to do to make sure that you're considered a candidate to be able to do it.
So tell me about that orientation. You said it's that community and just I guess a sense of being helped. Did you feel that, or
It's
because it took you a while to reconnect? They reached out, and which is admirable. Actually, I find it very admirable, because a lot of organizations would probably just say we're done with you, or they move on because it's just a question of time.
Definitely. I think it's because it reached out to me. I was like, I'm going to continue up with this. And so when I went in, and they give you like an informational interview, they just tell you it's a group of people there. They give an actual video, and the video itself was very inspiring. It's alums who have been through the experience and, have gotten corporate jobs, and, it's only a year. So a year that you're in the program. So to be able to get that much success in a year, and it's all about you, and then not having to put yourself on hold and be able to continue education and develop yourself professionally was definitely something that I couldn't give it up. It was something that I needed to do. So for me to put whatever else on hold for a year, but not really, is something that I was willing to do. And then all on top of everything, it's free. So, what could you be but free? It's free.
Wow,
you
that's
get
awesome.
college credits. So it's like, how could you give an option, like an opportunity like this up? So I definitely just went for it.
And you were probably like, wow, I should have done this sooner.
At that time, yes, I was.
But the good thing is you're here now, right? And that's awesome. We'll get more to your experience of going through the program and how that's helped you grow and see a different world. But I want to talk about how the program itself works, how you recruit and bring people in, and what it is that those first few weeks, first few days are like, and after that, and then leaving the program itself.
Yeah. So when we are trying to find talented, motivated young adults, like Yvette, someone who is at a point in their life where they want some change to occur.
Again, the age range is from
18 to 24.
Okay.
And folks who have completed their high school diploma or GED, who are looking for that path to be successful. They may have a few things that have been kind of presented which make it difficult to persist in college or a career, and that could be, becoming a parent early, or it could be maybe you tried college and you got in severe debt and you're not really sure how to move forward. You may have some unstable housing. And so we particularly screen for individuals who might have a couple of challenges. That's our target in terms of who we're looking for. And then we invite them to like an orientation open house, right? So a person gets to come in and hear an informational video. They get to have a guided tour from an existing student to really learn what it feels like and what it looks like once you're in the program. And then after a person decides, hey, I want to fully apply, they go through a pretty long application process and then a couple of interviews.
an essay. Do they have to write an essay?
Yeah, they have to write a personal statement as to why they want to be admitted into the program. They have to get letters of references from colleagues in their network, really to just kind of state why they feel that they would be a good fit for the program. And after they complete that and get admitted, there's an opportunity to kind of welcome the new student as well as their family into the program, just to say, hey, we're excited that you're here. And then they go through kind of a full week of orientation with all of their colleagues, and that just kind of really sets the foundation of what's ahead for that, the rest of that year. And
is it like a boot camp or something?
yeah, it's interesting. It's a combination of what we really try to do more than anything else is build culture and build community. So we want to make sure that the folks in our program, regardless of where they come from, sometimes may have had challenges with regard to the people in their lives who've maybe been less supportive. And we want to create a safe, supportive environment where there's structure to how you can have conversations with people around what's going on in your life, a conversation around how you perform more effectively in your classwork. And so that's the kind of thing that we try to set a tone for in the orientation week. And then after that orientation week, for the first several weeks thereafter, they start their classroom phase where they really start to build their skills around their professionalism, their business communication, and then their technology skill set. And so after they go through that and learn those skills and get really sharp at it, the second 6 months they get placed on that internship where they get to demonstrate those skills.
So it's, wow, that sounds really intensive.
Yeah, it is.
What's the time commitment for that?
Yeah, so that first half of that program, so again, it's a year-long program, but the first 6 months of it, a student essentially commits 31 hours a week. So they're there Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 3:30, and then they have a half a day on Wednesday. And the reason why they have a half day on Wednesday is that in the afternoons of Wednesday, we invite back the students who are on their internship to get additional professional development. So they're committing 31 hours a week to coursework, continuing to build community, continue to strengthen themselves around their professionalism, their communication skills, and then also their technical skills that they would apply in the internship that they would ultimately earn.
Okay, so you say they're sharpening their professional skills, technical skills. Is that done with the support of a mentor, or is it with professors and teachers, or is that done in small groups? How does that work?
Well, it's actually all of those things. It's a very comprehensive program, and so some of the structures that we put in place to provide support are, number one, there's an advisor that is assigned to every student. And so the student ultimately gets to meet with their advisor weekly, kind of talk about and reflect on what's occurred in the week, how they performed in their courses, how they ultimately are doing with regard to their contract, which is really around the accountability measure that helps their students ensure that they are on track. They also talk about things that might be going on in their life outside. And then if there are things that are going on outside, we have clinical personnel who are assigned to be able to help manage and mitigate any challenge you may face outside. And so those are some of the internal resources. Now, in addition to that, we have professionals who come in from the business community and otherwise who are there to help with your professional networking. Every student also is assigned a professional mentor who is particularly useful when you go on to the internship phase so that they can guide you and provide you advice. So you can imagine you can be on an internship, it might feel a little lonely, you don't feel like you have the right support there, or you may have questions around, what does it look like when this happens in a meeting, or what does it look like, or how do I build relationships with my peers? Having that professional mentor is extremely helpful to help the student. And then I think lastly, that I'll say is that because we have the support of the advisor and then the clinical personnel, we also round that support out by having an overall community of students. So we segregate our students in clusters of 40, and that community is led by a program manager or a learning community leader who ultimately guides the program, and it almost creates a family within that structure so that the people there kind of look to their left and their right, to the men and women with them, and say, hey, you know what, we want to get through this program, we're going to fight together, we're going to ultimately do things to support each other to get to our goals.
Wow, you were nodding as you was talking about community and family, especially. Tell me how you experienced that network of support with your peers, but we'll also talk about the professionals coming in to help. Let's start with that.
So when I went into open house and they mentioned this high support, I didn't believe it. I was like, it's going to have to fade out somewhere along the line. It can't keep up. And when we actually did orientation, and it's, month after month, that high support is there, and it's you feel it
from your peers,
right from the peers, from the staff. We do what is like Monday morning kickoff, and we all start together, staff and students, and then the community leader. And so we end the week the same way, giving feedback. So it's definitely something that you feel that it's built, and it gets stronger and stronger. And once you're on internship, you could come back and you feel that same vibe, even though you haven't been with them for X amount of hours or how many days out the week. And so definitely it's that community is present, and you very feel it. You know that if you do have a question or you do have a concern, you have someone to lean on for advice. You have someone to come back to tell you, like, we're going to work through this together. You're not alone. So definitely it's very present, and I think too, with something in a new job, you always have those butterflies and you're nervous either way. To have something to lean on and to say, like, this is happening. Could you coach me on how to go about doing this or how to navigate through this? And
can you give me an example of how?
Yeah, definitely.
When you did that,
recently, last week actually, I was kind of struggling because I'm on my internship phase, and so I was kind of struggling. And I was, having issues with asking for work and being new, and you're still testing the waters, and so
you're nervous because you're new.
You're new. It's like definitely just like you're starting a new job and you're getting to know these people, and so I was having trouble building relationships with my peers at work, and so I'm a nervous person regardless. So it's just so that I could come back and ask them. How do I go about this? This is going on, and then on top of this, I'm a mom. How do you juggle both? And so we have, like he said, a clinician who's there to help us, and we call him, or they're like Miss Pat, who is she's like our secretary, student service, who is definitely someone that you could come to, and she. Constant open door to everyone, your advisor. So there's not only one person that you could come to or email, they're always open to, come out and so to help you and to respond to you. So definitely I came into her office and was probably almost in tears, and eventually she just, let's calm down. We worked through it. We had a plan. And so definitely we do check-ins with each other. So there's constant support. It never fades out. I think, like I said in the beginning, you think it's too good to be true. And so it wasn't, though. It's definitely what they say it is. It's definitely a community, not only with staff, but with the learning communities. And so it's something that you look forward to. And so definitely a great program that I don't regret joining.
One thing I was just going to add to Yvette's comments is that it doesn't even end when you become an alum. And
that's great to hear.
Part of the job that I love is it seems like virtually daily there's an alum who comes by just to share their experience. I was talking to a young man who's at Accenture, working full time, and I'd said to the intern who was there, I said, hey, can you tell Jose to come by because I haven't seen him in a while, and he graduated out of our second class, and now we're on our ninth class as an organization. And so I said this just in a weekly conversation with Janet, who's an intern there. And so she went back and she told him, and then he showed up yesterday. He said, hey, I heard you were looking for me. And, it just felt nice. And I was just like, I was just curious what's going on. And he's like, yeah, I'm thinking about this move, and I'm doing well in my career here. And, I'm considering some additional roles outside of this organization. And it was just nice to hear that, he's constantly thinking about his future, constantly thinking about how to keep moving up. With his life, and he's well set. He's got a full-time job. He's doing very, very well. He's attaining additional education along the way as well to continue to strengthen his skill set. And so that's the thing. It feels great, and that support and the love of the the alums is also great as well. And that's to come for Yvette as she finishes the program.
Wow, that's awesome. You mentioned the word learning communities. How do they work? You touched on the clinicians and. And I definitely want to talk about the support from business mentors, but how do the learning communities work?
You want to start?
Yeah, so like Monday mornings, I'm going to walk you through a walkthrough of the day.
Please.
So Monday mornings, we'll start with Monday morning kickoff, which is they're an interactive.
It is a literal kickoff?
It's literally a kickoff. Excited, you're supposed to get motivated. This is what we're going to be doing for the week. They fill you on what you're going to be doing for a week into different classes. You have a tech class and a business communication class. After that, you do start your class, and then you have, during the rest of the week, Wednesday is an early day, but Friday you end the same way, and you do a feedback session, which is we sit down at the end of the day before an hour and a half before we leave out. And we give each other feedback. These are your growth areas. These are the growth areas that we think you should work on, and just even though you're doing something very well. So they help us being able to do that, because when you get into a work environment, no one's going to be telling you how to do it, and they do it in such a good manner, in such a good way, that we're able to do it openly, and not only with other students, but with staff as well. We could give staff our feedback.
So what is it? It's positive feedback. It's obviously we're all learning, right?
Yeah,
and
right.
Exactly
all the
right.
time, and it's a way to help you grow. It's not this criticism.
No, definitely not that way. And they have rules, we have guidelines that we're supposed to use. And forgive me because I can't remember
that's
them
all
right
right.
now
That's
exactly. But we go through them before we start feedback. So could you tell me what they are? And then everyone's answering, and interactives all day on Monday, and we end it the same way on Friday.
Yeah.
And so that they just keep it constant, and we do that every week. So
Wow.
you know, and we have on Friday mornings, we have a guest speaker who comes in, and that's how we actually start our Fridays. So you know, we ended good on Friday. We ended good during the week, and we ended good at the end of the week. So
Well, I'm sure he can sense it through just the great energy and passion coming from you. It sounds like it's made a great impact, and I'm sure you carry that energy into your internships. Alan, please tell me about some of the places where these students go and the relationships they're forming with professionals out there.
Yeah, so we've worked with about 50 companies in the Chicagoland area. So there's large firms like JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Google, Accenture, Aon, and you know, our intention is to provide a 6-month comprehensive experience for that young adult. And we encourage those business leaders to not only just take interns, but be involved in what's happening in the lives of the students once they're in the program. So, for example, Career Builder is a partner of ours. They take on interns, and one of the things that they do is they ultimately send their staff out to volunteer. And so those volunteers, they may help on a resume critique or a mock interview to kind of help strengthen your ability to get a job and further your career once you complete the program. So we know it's important to have those business leaders not only make a commitment to bring on an intern, but to also be involved as volunteers, as guest speakers, as Yvette already spoke of. You know, people who come in and share their experience, and it's great because it also creates a networking opportunity. I know Yvette, you know, created network opportunities based on an event that we had. You know, we annually have a couple of graduations, which are great. We also have a golf outing, and at that particular golf outing, Yvette just kind of shared her story and built a relationship with an individual and then a company and everything else. And so it's the kind of thing that we encourage our students to feel very comfortable networking professionally. And I think that helps them not only for today, but obviously for their future. So, you know, the more people you know in the professional environment, the business environment, that can help you not only, you know, start your career, but ultimately sustain it long term.
Definitely. Can you tell me about some of the relationships or what you've heard from these professionals that have worked with the students?
Yeah, I mean, so one of the things is we have a structured mentor program, right? And our goal is to assign each student a professional mentor who's, you know, working in the business community. And one of the things we try to do is solicit feedback. We're a very feedback-driven organization, and so it's not just what happens on our Fridays with our learning communities, but also we reach out to our mentors to understand via survey and just kind of understanding their experience. And as we do that, we're able to actually gather really rich information around how to strengthen the program. So we actually set up trainings for those mentors so that they know exactly how to support the student. We give students give those mentors information on the life cycle of students. So like depending on where that student is on their journey, sometimes, you know, there'll be up moments, and then sometimes it'll be like, oh man, I'm having this challenge. And so how to provide that feedback to the mentor so that they can be the right support for the student is critical. So, you know, we just try to do everything we can to kind of get that feedback and then share back to them the information around what they can do to be best supportive to the student while in the program. And thus far, it's going very, very well. And now we're at a point where we're actually able to have a surplus of mentors because people are really excited about their experience. And so we just want to be able to continue to create meaningful opportunities for them as well.
Wow, sounds awesome. We're getting close to the end of the show here, and I'm going to ask one more question, both of you. Yvette, I want to ask, what would you say to a friend or somebody from the community that is where you were and has questions about what to do, and they already have their GED or they're working on it or their high school diploma? What would you tell them?
I would say definitely come out to Europe and give it a shot, just open house. And once you do that, you'll see and you'll feel the high support that I'm speaking about. It's there from the very first day, and it doesn't die down. So once you just give that one step forward and try to come out, you'll definitely see that it's going to be there, and this is a good spot for you to build yourself and a good place for you to have support. maybe it's additional support, but it's there, and it's never, it's, you know, it's long lasting. So definitely just give it a shot. Come out, call them, look them up, and you'll see that it's the best. That it's not, they're not lying. Like I said, you feel it's too good to be true. They're not lying, and it's all about you. So develop yourself. So
that's awesome. And Alan, one final question for you. If you have some professional or somebody out there watching has some questions about becoming a mentor, what would you tell them?
Yeah, so we have a lot of volunteer opportunities, so I would encourage you to go to theyearup.org and you can gather information on our mentorship program and all the volunteer opportunities. That would be amazing. And then I'd say for students, you know, as Yvette said, open houses, we have them weekly, every Mondays at 3 o'clock and every Tuesdays at 5:30. So you can come by the site and learn about the program. We're located on Jackson and Franklin, just by what was called Sears Tower. So we're right down the street. So come on by and learn more about us. And if you're interested in volunteering, you can come by and do the same thing.
Great. Well, thank you both for coming out today and sharing all the great things you do.
Thank you.
thank you.
And to you, thank you. Community Forum is a community service of CAN TV. If your nonprofit organization would like to work with CAN TV, call 312-738-1400 and ask for nonprofit services. Tune into Community Forum for local issues and concerns every Saturday at 7:30 p.m. on CAN TV 21. I'm Juan Carlos Hernandez. Thank you for joining us.